Hi everyone. So following my video earlier this week about Kèan having gone to his very first school camp, um, it's interesting how I always speak about everything in life starts with a thought. And of course, my thoughts were hectic to say the least. So it turns out yesterday I went to go pick him up um, from school following the camp. And upon arrival there, I asked where Kèan was, and there were kids everywhere. So the teacher looked around and then casually says to me, "Oh, he didn't come back on the bus. He came with the minibus and they got caught up in an accident, a massive accident on Pennant Hills Road." And then she carried on talking to other parents and children. Well, let me tell you, in that moment, I think it felt like I had about 6 heart attacks. I started hyperventilating. I started crying, but silent tears because I tried to keep my composure with everything in me. So I literally went paralyzed. I was filled with paralysis rather, and numb. I walked to the side, and the first thing I did was I messaged my hubby. And I said, "Oh my God, Kèan was in an accident." Because in all truth, the way we describe things compared to how the Australians describe things is somewhat different. So also because of my fears beforehand, obviously what I heard was the minibus Kèan was traveling in was involved in an accident, whereas what she actually said was the minibus Kèan was in was held up in an accident. So completely my fault there, or my misinterpretation. Nonetheless, I was filled with shock, and it took me a good few moments just to breathe my way through it. I tried to apply everything I knew how to do, policing my thoughts, trying to work my way through the immediate reaction by focusing on my breathing and just trying to calm myself. I don't know how long it was, but a little bit later, another teacher came over to me and asked me who I was waiting for. So through the tears, I said to her, "Kèan." And I was rooted to the spot. I couldn't move, couldn't go anywhere. All I was focused on in that moment was waiting for my hubby to arrive. And she said, "Oh, Kèan is a lovely boy, and we had such a great time at the camp." And eventually I said, "Well, was he or the minibus he was traveling in involved in that big accident on Pennant Hills Road?" And she said, No. The bus driver took a detour to avoid the scene of the accident." I can't describe the absolute relief I felt to you. And then I blabbered on in saying, "Oh my God, I thought they were involved in the accident." And how ironic that those were my fears. Those were my worst fears, or part of my worst fears, all week long. And it was like fate just had to tempt me one last time to test my faith. So, oblivious to all of this happening, about half an hour or so later, Kèan arrived back at the school, got out the minibus, and the first thing he says to me, "I hope I can get Macca's." I wanted to just eat him up in that moment, because it was funny that I was in a complete panic state the previous half an hour, and the first thing my son thinks about was his tummy. Needless to say, we did get him Macca's, and he had a blast at the school camp, and I learned a lot. I learned to remind myself how much I've been able to conquer up until now in my life. I learned to trust. I learned that sometimes, most of the time in fact, we can actually trust even strangers, simply because Zandre died the night I left him in the care of good friends, doesn't mean that was their fault and I couldn't trust them anymore. It doesn't mean it was anyone's fault, because I believe it wasn't. The same with Brendan. So it definitely doesn't mean that Kèan will come upon harm if I entrust him to other people, such as on a school camp. And by the grace of God, he didn't come to any harm. And he is the most resilient, most amazing youngster that I know and have the privilege of having in my life. And I'd love to share that aspect of him with you, or parts of it, because on Saturday I'm going to share with you another part of my journey in telling you about my 2019 and the adverse effects I suffered due to the latent stress and trauma of Brendan Zandre's deaths, how Kèan dealt with that, and what a little strategist he actually is, and just how amazingly resilient too. So do me a favor, please log on Saturday if you want to hear that part of my journey. Like this video below, subscribe, and do leave me a comment. I would love to hear from all mommies out there in how they've experienced fear relating to their children, or any concerns you might have in your life right now, or maybe not even your children, but your grandchildren. So let's get active in participating and communicating with each other on these topics. I don't know about you, but I find it fascinating, and I learn so much from all of you. And I'm hoping that perhaps you will learn from me too. So I wish you guys a beautiful, beautiful day. My little monkey is back home, thank heavens. And my faith has definitely been restored. And have a wonderful day, guys. And chat to you soon, I hope. Bye.